So welcome everybody to the final day of Kaldheim spoilers. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you go and follow over at twitch.tv/Jarvis_Moonbeam, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jarvis_Moonbeam, and you can join my Discord community at the link in the description below. But let's get into these cards for this final day. The first card is the final card in the uncommon land cycle. It's the Great Hall of Sternheim. It enters tapped and taps for a black. For 2 white and a black, you sacrifice it and create a creature you control. And you create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance, and you can only activate this ability only anytime you cast a sorcery. Unlike most of the lands in the cycle, this land is playable, I believe, especially in like an Orzhov cleric stack. Especially if you have a 1/1 that doesn't really matter, you get that 4/4 flyer. I still don't believe it's that good in comparison, but it's finally at least a playable land, and this will probably see play in Commander. Next card is Valor of the Worthy. It is a single white for an enchantment aura. You enchant creature, it gets +1/+1. When enchanted creature leaves the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. I don't think this is going to see play in standard at all or any constructed format, but it is a good limited card because it does replace the body that is gotten rid of with a flyer, which does help with the evasion that sometimes it's hard to get to in a limited format. Sternheim Corsair for 2 and a white. It is a flying Pegasus. It is a 2/2 that gives artifact and enchantment spells you cast 1 last to cast. Right now, I don't know if there's room for this in standard because there is the Auras deck, but the Auras deck runs a lot of really cheap enchantments to the point that they run Loris as a companion. However, I think that this will find its way into 99 in some commander decks, especially Enchantress builds. Probably not artifact builds, because artifact builds tend to be either blue or white, except for Brea, which goes 4 color. But I think that this could find the 99 of commander decks. King Narfi's Betrayal for 1, a blue, and a black. It's an enchantment saga. Step 1. Each player mills 4 cards, then you may exile up to 1 creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard. Step 2 and 3. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among cards exiled with King Narfi's Betrayal. You may spend mana Zil or mana of any color to cast those spells. This might end up being like a 2-of in a rogue stack if rogue still manage to stay in the meta. It is 3 mana, it does mill 4. But you could end up getting a big creature out of this from an opponent, or you could even go and escape your own rogue from exile with this as well. I think that this probably is more of a commander card than a standard or historic card, but it is a lot of fun and I like it a lot. Draugr Recruiter for 3 and a black. It's a zombie cleric that's a 3/3. Has Boast for 3 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Its Boast mechanic's too expensive. It might see play in limited. I think it might even be a little bit too much for limited for being a 3/3 and a 4 CMC body. Or a 4 CMC creature on a 3/3 body. Let's go with that one. But I don't think it's good enough for standard or historic. Haunting Journey, 4 and 2 black. Choose a creature type. Return up to 2 creature cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield. If this was foretold, return all creature cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield instead. Foretell cost is 5 and 2 black. So, Agadeem's Awakening is the mass graveyard recursion spell currently seeing play in standard. Granted, it only sees play typically in a rogue's deck, and it does have the ability to be a land on the other side. But late game, being able to return all your rogues could be the mill finish to go and get this out. I, however, don't think it's still going to see play in Standard. I think that this is a Commander Zombies card for the majority of it. In general, it is a Commander tribal card. Zombies just makes the most amount of sense. Rune Forge Champion for 2 and a white. Dwarf Warrior, that's a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a rune card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. You may pay 1 rather than pay the mana cost for rune spells you cast. So, I understand why they did this, because they want to go and give some payoff for runes. This card would be a lot better if it said Rune or Aura, because as you'll see later in the video, there aren't enough rune cards to go and support him as a creature, and I don't think it's going to be enough to go and see runes see play in any type of constructed format, because most of the time the runes are just good enough to be the ETB draw card. Rune of Might, 1 and a green for an Aura rune. Enchant permanent, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 and has trample. As long as enchanted equipment is an equipment, equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. And I'm just going to go over the next 3 cards as well before I review these, because they kind of all fit underneath the same bill. Rune of Mortality is 1 and a black. ETB's draw a card. Enchanted permanent has Death Touch. Well, if it's a creature or if it's an equipment, and then the equipped creature has Death Touch. Rune of Speed. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Enchanted permanent gets +1/+0 and has haste. Same if it's in an equipment as well. And Rune of Sustenance. Yet again, draw a card. Enchanted permanent is a creature has lifelink. And enchanted permanent, if it's an equipment, equipped creature has lifelink. So I think these all fall underneath the same boat. The blue rune was unveiled last week. I think these are 2 mana draw spell card. I don't think that these see play in a constructed format outside of a Yorion build, especially if Doom Foretold stays a thing, because even Golden Egg sees play in Yorion. I think if the Rune of Sustenance and then the Black Rune as well could be slotted in there. You go and equip one of your enchantments or artifacts you already have on the battlefield, like Omen of the Sun or Omen of the Sea, and then you go and play Yorion and exile these and bring them back in attached to Yorion. Other than that, I don't think these cards are good enough to go and see play in constructed with them just giving keyword abilities. Icebreaker Kraken, 10 and 2 blue for a Snow Kraken. That's an 8/8. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control. When it enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during the player's next untap step. And you can return 3 snow lands you control to their owner's hand and return Icebreaker Kraken to its owner's hand. So, first of all, this card will never be able to be played in Limited because of the high cost of it and the frequency of getting snow lands that are in color. Because even in a sealed pool, the likelihood of you getting more than 3 lands that are on color for your deck are really low. And in a draft environment, other than maybe on Arena, drafting snow lands isn't going to be something that comes easy to you, especially if someone goes to a Snow Matters theme. I think that this is a lot of fun, though. And I think that someone's going to try to go and break this in Standard. Even though it might not be very good, it'll be fun to go and play. Especially because it's repeatable. And right now, you don't have a ton of creatures with Vigilance in Standard. You do have some, but not a ton that see play. More, it's like Badri's Lieutenant, Elder Gargaroth, Questing Beast are like your big Vigilant creatures there. So this is a commander card for someone that wants to build sea creature tribal though. But probably not going to really see play anywhere else, even though I think it's a lot of fun. Mist of Jarrah for 1 and a blue. Flash. Enchant creature vehicle. Enchanted creature gets -3/-0. So this is a limited card. I don't think it sees play in any other format unless for some reason vehicles start to take off. But I don't see it seeing play. But limited for sure. Depart the Realm for 1 and a blue. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand and you foretell for a single blue. We have return creatures spells to return creatures to hand, return permanent to hand. We have Into the Royal. You have Petty Theft. Unsummon for creatures. The only one of those that sees any play is Petty Theft, and that's only because it is attached to Brazen Borrower on the other side, so it's a 2-for-1 spell. So I think that this is going to be a very good card in Limited for anybody that decides to go blue. I don't think it's going to be a good card in any. Well, I don't think it's going to be a played card in any other format. Mistwalker for 2 and a blue. It's a shapeshifter that's a 1/4. It's a changeling with flying that 1 and a blue. It gets +1/-1 until end of turn. So this I think is a good limited card and only a good limited card. The only other place it might see play is if someone does a changing tribal deck. But the fact that you could activate this 3 times and go and make this a 4/1 instead of a 1/4 is a good place to go and put mana, especially on a body with invasion in a limited format. Everywhere else, I don't think it sees play. Vengeful Reaper for 3 and a black. It's an Angel Cleric. That's a 2/3 with flying, death touch, and haste, and it's foretell of 1 and a black. Bomb in limited. Possibly sees play in standard in a Cleric's build or an Angel's build. It's kind of like Nighthawk Scavenger, but that has death touch and lifelink. The haste is very relevant as well. I think it sees play. I just don't know how much play it sees, and it's probably gonna only be in like those fringe cleric decks. Bind the Monster, a single blue for an enchantment aura. It enchants a creature, and when it enters the battlefield, you tap enchanted creature, and it deals damage to you equals to its power. Enchanted creature does an untap during its controller's untap step. So it's kind of like a less expensive Bubble Snare. I love this card for limited. I think this is one of the best cards for blue in limited. I think this card could also potentially see play in standard or historic if someone builds a mono blue deck. I don't think it sees play in any deck that runs any other color except possibly a Simic deck, because, and even in Simic you have fight spells. In black and white you have both. In black you destroy creature or in exile creature. White it's exile permanent, and in red it's steal damage. So I really don't see this seeing played in any of those. The only other place it might see play is like, no, it won't even see play. I was gonna say maybe in a sideboard, but I don't even think it sees sideboard play. I think it's probably only a mono blue play. I don't think it's gonna see play anywhere else. And the final card today is Elven Bow for a single green. It's an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 genetic mana. If you do, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token, then attach Elven Bow to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+2 and it has reach, and the equip cost is 3. This is probably actually the most playable in limited of all the artifact equipments that came out in this cycle, simply because of the reach factor. I still don't think it's worth playing, but it's the most playable in limited, and I don't think it's going to be played in standard or historic at all. And I don't think it's worth playing in commander. But that's the final card for today. Let me know what you think. Tell me what I got right. Tell me what I got wrong. Give me any feedback you have. I really did enjoy making these videos the past 2 weeks, and I can't wait to go and make my next video. Have a good day.